Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas. Welcome to this special edition of Wide Angle with Ashok Vyas. And today we will be talking to someone who has seen both kind of food processes closely to the extent that she is not only expert in cooking, but she is also very good at baking. She is also familiar with different nuances of culture which becomes relevant as far as food is concerned. So she has earned a title of being Indian kosher Indian baking artist. What is that? We'll learn from someone with more than 3 decades of experience of being in this field. Renuka Bhojaraj ji joins us today. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you for having me here.
So Renuka ji, we'll talk about India and America both, but this term kosher is not very much familiar for many of our viewers. So tell me, what is kosher?
Kosher is an English word. Actually, in Hebrew it is kesher. It derived from the Hebrew word, and it means it's pure, fit for consumption. And there are three categories of kosher laws, like it's meat, milk, and parev or neutral products. They are very Jewish people are very strict about their dietary laws. So at any time meat and milk cannot be eaten together, cannot serve together, and these neutral products like food, grains and nuts and vegetables, fruits, they can eat with either with the meat or with the dairy.
So that is kosher, and it is pure food fit for consumption. So purity is important in terms of how you think, is also influenced by the kind of food that you take and the kind of learning that you have had in your life. Let us learn a little bit about your background, which makes you expert in both cooking and baking, how you kind of heard your calling in this area of cooking and baking.
I born and brought up in an Orthodox Hindu vegetarian family. There, when I was very young, I used to help my mother in the kitchen. So I used to see how she used to prepare the food, like nutrition facts or the hygiene, whatever it is. Then at the age of, I think at the age of 15, I really become very passionate about the food, and I started cooking vegetarian food. Then I joined a degree. I did my home science graduation. There, one subject for the food and nutrition, where I learnt about the nutrition and different kinds of diets for the different people, like diabetic diet, hypertension diet, it's almost about the diets. I learnt about it, and then I joined a flour mill as a baking technologist and quality assurance.
So you're joining flour mill as baking technologist and quality assurance. So if we have not seen a flour mill from inside, we don't really have very clear idea about what is the role of a baking technologist. So talk to me a little bit about what were you doing there in the field of technology, and in almost 3 decades of your experience of being a part of this, maybe the same company or other in the same field, did you observe some new developments in technology which were kind of bringing about some changes in the baking industry?
Yes. When I was just 20 years, I joined. It's in 1989, June 1st, I joined as a baking technologist and quality assurance in one of the largest flour mill in Bangalore. So we know everybody, like wheat is the main ingredient for the flour. So there are a lot of process will be there to take out that flour. So in India we have many reasons. We will get wheat from different regions, like Punjab, Rajasthan, and Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and all. So each wheat will be a different quality. One wheat will be having high protein, one will be having low protein, one will be medium protein. So in the flour mill, what happens when wheat comes from the trucks, we have to take randomly, and we have to check the raw material, and raw material in the sense we have to check the impurities, and in the lot of impurities will be there when we get the wheat from the farmers. So then it will go through different process, like it will go to the all the cleaning sections, like the separators will be there to clean the sticks, barley, and other foreign grains. And there is one more machine called destoner. It separates the stones. One more machine, it's called cockle cylinder. It separates the broken wheat. So we have to go all this process. Before we could grain, we have to check the raw material. After checking the raw material, we will segregate the wheat, like it's a high protein wheat and low protein wheat, and we put it in the silos, and afterwards it will come for the dampening. We will dampen the wheat. Again, second cleaning will start. We will dampen the wheat and store it in the silos for 36 hours, 24 to 36 hours to conditioning the wheat. After doing the conditioning, it will come to the roller section. There's a different kind of rollers will be there, like brake rollers and reduction rollers and smooth rollers. Then final product will be, we will be getting the white flour, what we call it in India, we call it as a maida, here we call it as a flour for the baking. That's in like 60 to 65% of white flour will get, remaining will be the cattle feed, and remaining will take out the semolina a little bit. That is for the different purpose. Then I have to check with I have to start from the raw material to end product. I have to when I get the final product, I should bake the bread, cookies, puff, and flatbreads, everything. Once I certified, yes, this product can move out of the mill for the baker's use. So according to the baker's requirements, millers will make their flours.
Wonderful, what a process, and the way you explained it, it becomes clear that it is not house cooking or a small setup of cooking. It is pretty much like an engineer who has to look at the process at different stages of manufacturing anything. So you kind of enlarged or enhanced your ability, your skill set, and here I must sort of salute the dedication of Indian women in particular, because there are a lot of family, household responsibilities. Then you go out, you learn new things, you do. Now, another fascinating aspect is, which is, I think, a gift for all human beings, and especially in you also, I find that having experienced at this level in the baking industry, there was something in you which made you decide that you want to learn more. And you came to America, you pursued a course at American Institute of Baking. How that came about, and I mean, what was the need? You are doing good, family is there. So it's an adventure or the craving to learn more?
Yeah, it's craving to learn more, because the technology in US, absolutely, it's like higher, I can say. So there was there the percentage, there will be a baker's percentage and true percentage. According to the percentage, we have to do the baking. So that's what I decided to. This AIB is the American Institute of Baking Science, is the perfect fit for me, I decided. So when I sent my profile to them, like this, I am much more interested to learn about the ingredient functionality and other baking goods and different kind of varieties of pastries and cookies. Then they saw my profile. The AAB selection committee wanted to it was actually it was a huge amount. So that is also like part of the burden for me. Then after seeing my profile, because I was a self-sponsored, they gave me a 70% scholarship. Because of that, I am able to come here, and I worked with a different country. Again, in AIB, there are different people, like a different country people. There are Mexicans, Americans, and Japanese, and Koreans, Malaysian people are there. So I worked with different nationalities, and really I learnt a lot in AAB.
So learning a lot in AAB and interacting with people from different background, different countries must have been quite an experience. And keeping something unique from that experience, connecting it with the way you would differentiate Indian cooking versus the way baking industry is evolving. What would you say separates or the basic difference which is there between cooking and baking?
Okay. Okay, like cooking is the art where you can cook food on the direct fire. Baking is where we cook food on the dry fire. Where in the cooking you can manipulate your ingredients, in the baking you cannot do. It's a science. So without any one ingredient you cannot bake anything. For cooking you can manipulate the ingredients according to your taste. You can cook the food.
And as a layman, I feel cooking gives a more sort of a personal touch, because machine, of course, gas, etc., is involved. Yet there is more of a personalized feel to cooking, which may or may not be there in baking. Would you agree with me on that? And what is it that you would feel you prefer, baking or cooking?
No, I prefer both baking and cooking. But even in baking also you can do some personalized touch with other ingredients. What according to your taste you can bake the products. Cooking is different entirely and baking is different entirely. But both are good.
Both are good. Is a good thing to learn from Renuka ji, who has been very careful and appreciative of the cultural nuances related to baking, cooking. When we talk about kosher, we talk about Jews, and there are many Jews in India also. Now, you have been working in this field and you have worked closely with Jews also. Anything that you feel where these Indian restaurants, which are vegetarian in nature, and the kind of call that requirement or specification related to kosher, do they overlap somewhere? Like, if I rephrase my question, is vegetarianism somewhere close to what kosher, because you mentioned about pure food fit for consumption? So
Yes. Actually, the Hindu vegetarian cooking, and it matches kosher food, because normally when we cook the food, when we Hindus, especially when we cook the food, we see that we clean the grains. We will see that there will not be any insects or something. We don't cook insects. And especially when you take some vegetables, the cauliflower and all, we have to do double check with the insects. So same thing happens in kosher cooking also. They will before they could cook, they will insect the grains or vegetables or even fruits also. So it's more or less like kosher food and Indian vegetarian food will match. Where in India, being a South Indian, we don't use any milk products for cooking. So instead of milk, we use coconut milk in South India. So even in kosher cooking, normally there is no people, they don't add any dairy in their cooking. So I say like kosher food is very much equal to Indian vegetarian food. So I can see lot of in New York City, lot of Jewish people go to Indian restaurants to have their vegetarian food. They feel it is like pure and perfect to consume.
purity and perfection also makes you mingle with people who are in a position of power. And there were occasions when you got to interact with the agricultural minister of Karnataka. How was that experience? And talk to me a little bit about the occasion.
Yeah, it was in 2018. There's the International Organic Millet Expo was there. So there were more than 1,000 stores were there in Bangalore, in Palace Grounds. People from all over the India and Asian countries, European countries, and Canada, and from USA. It's a organic and millet expo. There, actually, I created millet recipes for the Grammy Superfoods. It's one of the global brand in India right now. It's totally millet products. So I made the recipes for cookies and some flatbreads and ready to cook products and millet porridge mixes. So there was the agriculture minister, like he went through all the 1,000 stores and he tasted the products, and he decided to give second place for Grammy. It was very good, like taste wise. It's very good, and there is no preservatives, no chemicals, no artificial flavors. What I made, like it's unique cookies for them. So Grammy won second place. That's what he honored me with the prize.
No, you talk about he honored me with so much lack of enthusiasm. So I would say sometimes modesty prevails and takes away the spirit of celebration, perhaps. But how was the feel when you got the award? And it is there were a lot of people who might have been in your position, and you created something unique and distinct. So let's talk about two sides. One, the spirit or the feeling of being the one who got that award, and secondly, your creative process. Did you come up with something new?
Yes, when I took the award, it was like a memorable moment for me, and of course, like I created new millet cookies for them, and absolutely there is it took more than a year for me to make a recipes for every day was challenging, and I have to keep it for the months for the shelf life. So I tested like so many every day, like trial and error. I made it, and finally my cookies are without any preservatives and any artificial flavors, and everything is organic, and the millets is the main base for the cookies. The shelf life is right now it's 13 months for the cookies. I developed that kind of cookies for the Grammy Superfoods. Grammy in the sense, gram means village, MI means millets. So Grammy Superfoods, that is, it's a global brand. Right now it is a global brand, and we covered entire India and almost Asian countries, and we wanted to work with the US also.
Wonderful. No, the way you described the process of creating these cookies is pretty much like a scientific approach where you have an experiment happening for an extended period of time. So earlier I said you, in addition to being a cook, were acting like an engineer in the baking industry, and developing these kind of products is pretty much like a scientist working in his laboratory. So what is it that you would say is the benefit of millet?
Yes, millets is a very ancient and grain. In India, it's like a staple food. And before Green Revolution, people used to eat lot of millets. Afterwards, people are adopted this rice, wheat, and corn, everything. Then now, because of this nutrient values and health benefits, people are again adopting millets. Millets is a rain-fed crop. There is absolutely no fertilizers, and it's gluten-free. it's organic, and for the type 2 diabetic, it's a fantastic product for the
Oh, really?
type 2 diabetic people, and it will control your immune system, and it's your immune system will boost because of the millets, and it's like it enhances the memory power, and it will keep your bad cholesterol level under control, and lot of benefits are there with the millets.
So a lot of herbal properties or medicinal sort of properties are there
Properties in the
millets.
millets, yeah.
And
It's better than rice and wheat,
I see.
and high in fiber. It's high in fiber and magnesium, calcium, iron. It's a store of proteins, full of proteins and minerals. Though the grain is a very small, but full of proteins.
Very good. Now let's switch gears and talk to entrepreneur Renuka ji. You started your own restaurant with your husband in Bangalore, I believe.
Yes.
And how was that experience?
Yeah, restaurant. It was very good experience for me. I was fully in charge of the kitchen and recipes. In my restaurant, I never used any artificial colors and taste enhancers. According to the customer's taste, we used to make the recipes for them. It was a great experience I had.
With great experience, and now moving towards the concluding part of our conversation, and it has been such a learning experience sitting with the Indian kosher Indian baking artist Renuka ji, and now I understand why the term artist becomes a part of a creative person in the field of baking. You do a lot of experiments, you bring your insight, you pay attention to various aspects of the kind of impact which it would have not only on the taste buds of the consumer, but also how it will affect his health. So, concluding, like people have dreamed that I want to create this. So, any kind of a baking product that sometimes maybe as you are walking, you think this should be the next thing that I would like to create, something on that sort. And what happens is when you are baking, there could be something that may go wrong. It is not working out the way you planned that it should streamline. So, how do you work on troubleshooting?
Yes, normally troubleshooting will happen when in a bakery. Sometimes your bread will rise more and it might collapse. We have to see from the ingredients. Maybe if you don't put salt, your bread will be rising. Salt will control your fermentation, and if you don't put sugar, you don't get the color for the bread, and the bread will not rise. So a lot of through AAB, I learnt all the troubleshooting and solutions for that. And I wanted to create like more millet products and millet based flatbreads, pizza crust, and add like Indian unique spices in that. So instead of giving a plain pizza crust, add something like cumin seeds and garlic, crushed garlic, and it's help for the health also, and it give good taste also. That's why I wanted to create more in baking field.
That's very exciting, very good. Happy to be talking to kosher Indian baking artist Renuka Bhojaraj. Bhojaraj ji. And what is incredible about her is her journey of almost 3 decades in the baking industry, and then this quest to learn more and coming all the way to America to pursue a course at American Institute of Baking. And she looks forward to contributing to the world through more health oriented, or rather healthy and tasty products. So we wish you lots of good luck in succeeding, because your success would also be successful experience for many consumers. Thank you very much for joining us here.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
So my guest shared her journey cooking, baking, and science, engineering, art, everything combined together. Thanking her and thanking all of you for being with us. This is Ashok Vyas.